The Wire is deemed as one of the greatest TV shows of all time, praised for its raw, unfiltered portrayal of a failing city, Baltimore, and its sharp social commentary. Unlike traditional storytelling that revolves around a single protagonist, The Wire takes a broad approach, using a large ensemble cast to meticulously illustrate why reform is out of reach in the system. But as much as the show's main focus is on systemic failures and institutional decay, The Wire is also the story of Jimmy McNulty, a troubled yet good-hearted detective in the Baltimore Police Department. If you've watched the show, you must know one of its most recurring themes, good police. And from the very beginning, I was curious, could McNulty stay good police in this dysfunctional system? As you know, there are deep-rooted systemic issues in the department that hinder officers from doing effective police work. Lack of manpower, budget constraints, stats-obsessed culture, career responses, and bureaucratic red tape. These hindrances create an environment where meaningful police work is nearly impossible. These problems are perpetuated by lousy leadership and corrupt politicians. And even when they get replaced, their successors end up doing the same thing due to external pressures and political realities. No matter how good or ethical they were when they started, they eventually conform to the system, perpetuating the cycle. This is a Wire's central thesis. Everything stays the same. The education system fails to guide students in the right direction. The weak economy drives many into illegal activities. Law enforcement is ineffective, and self-serving politicians refuse to implement real change. Each institution is intertwined, keeping the city in a cycle of failure. So the two biggest themes of the show are good police and the cyclical nature of the system. I expected Jimmy McNulty, the good police, to break the cycle. I thought he would be the one to bring an end to this never-ending cycle of failure and make a real change. If you think about it, that kind of story would be satisfying, a grand resolution, a victorious moment. But that's not The Wire. Such an ending would contradict the show's core message. The purpose of the show is to reflect reality, the true struggles of Baltimore and its people. A fictional triumph would undermine that realism. However, in season 5, the show's direction shifted towards entertainment. In fact, the show was battling with cancellation season after season, so HBO was pressuring the writers to make the show more appealing to a broader audience. This led to the infamous McNulty fabricated serial killer plot, an act that many found over the top. If not for HBO's demands, I don't think the writers would have ended the show with McNulty's exit from the department. That being said, I think McNulty's downfall was well written. It was a nice recovery. Because even though the writers had to adjust his arc midstream, they still managed to wrap up the story in a way that made sense for his character. Okay, let me explain. Jimmy McNulty is introduced as a competent and relentless detective with a strong sense of justice, but he's also deeply flawed. He's arrogant, reckless, and self-destructive. In storytelling, when a protagonist is introduced with glaring flaws, they typically go through an upward arc where they grow and overcome their flaws. Given where McNulty started, we naturally expect him to grow, to learn from mistakes and come out a better man. And for a while, he was on that path. Through professional and personal struggles, he became more mature and level-headed. In season 4, he settles down with BD and is posted to patrol duty, fading into the background and not part of the main plot. It felt like his character arc was completed. There seemed to be nothing left to explore. His story could have ended right there, but his downfall is a more fitting conclusion. Because what McNulty emotionally goes through over the course of 5 seasons should push anyone over the edge. His boiling frustration of not being able to fulfill his goals, not being able to bring full justice to his targets at their return, would make anyone desperate enough to cross the line. In season 1, the investigation into the Baxter organization shut the alley due to pressure from high-ups, ruining their chance to bring down all their targets. Avon gets only 7 years, and Stringer Bell doesn't even get charged. They were so close, just one step away, but the opportunity slips away at the last moment. The same thing in season 2. The detail is so close to tracking down the Greek, but the spy in the FBI intercepts critical information and tips him off just in time. And again, they fall short. In season 3, they finally catch Stringer Bell on the wire, which has been McNulty's goal since the beginning. And I was dying to see the satisfying moment of McNulty handcuffing Stringer Bell and him behind bars. But he gets killed right before that happens. And again, McNulty and the audience get blue balled. Every season, he watched the walk-off home run drift foul. So it's logical for someone like him to cross the line, because he's always been willing to bend the rules, whether it's solving a case or proving a point. So given the context of Season 5, where the department experiences huge budget cuts, forcing officers to work with fewer resources, less overtime, and insufficient vehicles and equipment, it makes total sense that McNulty resorts to extreme measures like fabricating a serial killer to get the funding necessary to do real police work. So, it's not some random leap in logic. It's a result of years of mounting frustration and his own moral flexibility. It's a fitting ending for the show that the good police the city really needs is the one who gets kicked out of the broken police department. McNulty's downfall isn't just a personal failure, it's also a systemic failure to support someone like him.